Hey, CM community. This is Jackson Thomas, and I'm a CCC ambassador. And I'd like to welcome Ray Trebino with DPR Construction. He's a unit business leader in Northern California, and he's going to be going over our hard hat talk with us today.
Good to be here.
So you graduated at Cal Poly in 1994. What was your experience like at Cal Poly?
So it was great. It seems like yesterday. That's one of the things I'll tell everyone is you'll be amazed how fast time seems to go by after you leave Cal Poly. There's such a sense of community with the program. It's just something you always want to be involved with and don't want to let go. And it was great to be there, and so proud to be part of it, and so glad I can still be connected with the program. You know, having graduated 27 years ago now. Wow.
Mm-hmm. And so how did your experience at Cal Poly transition you into your role in the industry? Do you think that it kind of helped going to Cal Poly, or do you think it would be better off coming from somewhere else?
So, Cal Poly's learn by doing philosophy really does prepare you well for the workplace. There's a lot of, colleges that will lean a little bit more on the theoretical side of what is going on in the industry, where Cal Poly is all about being practical and making sure that you can contribute from day one. Once I got started at DPR, and I've been there ever since I graduated, which is also a little bit of a rarity. When I got out to the first job site, I remember the superintendent saying, "Okay, here's the trailer, there's the door, you stay inside, I got everything outside." I wasn't surprised when I heard that from him, and was prepared to say, okay, yeah, that's right, but I need to make sure everything that's going on out there, you're going to be doing it right. So it was, there's so much that goes on in our industry, there's so much information that if you're not prepared to understand what's going to happen from day one, it could be pretty darn overwhelming. Mm-hmm. And I do think it regardless, there is an overwhelming side of it, but having the Cal Poly background and some internships really will lessen that blow.
Yeah, I think that coming from like a Cal Poly student myself, and I'm sure I can speak for a lot of other students when I say this, that you kind of do get that kind of peak at the industry when you work an internship. And I remember the first internship I worked, I was completely overwhelmed. I didn't realize which way was north, south, east, or west on the job. Everyone was saying, "Oh yeah, north side." I was like, what's north side? And so I was a whole bunch of other stuff like that, where you just kind of have to take it all in at one time. And it's a lot of information to process. But I think over even just doing one internship through your 3 months working, I think you do get a better sense of what you're getting yourself into. And I think a lot of students find out that they're more happy with their decision after their first internship than before they've done one.
This industry has so much that you have to understand. That's the other thing I think that is both good and also a learning curve of just doing internships can kind of help you with prioritization, asking questions and understanding and listening. But that is something that will always be an aspect of our careers of just where's the priority and where do I need to focus on, because there's so much every day, you can't do it all.
As far as Cal Poly does, it sets us up well for working in a team as far as the students go. And I know kind of when you go on your first job, you'll have your role, whether it be your project engineer, but I think that the work that you'll do during those internships and that time you spend during the summer, I think that really sets you up for your expectation of your kind of first job.
Yeah, and that is the other part of the curriculum that is huge, and I think every student probably can relate to a team event where not every one of their teammates was pulling the full weight that they felt they should have. But you're going to run into that in industry, and it's how do you navigate, communicate, identify if what the needs are. If you do have somebody that's maybe not able to handle what their tasks are, you can't just let it fail, because if they fail, the whole team fails.
Right.
And it's like, all right, I understand what's going on. There's a problem. Let's figure out and pull up and see what we can do to get this thing worked through. And those activities and those projects that Cal Poly has as part of the curriculum is nothing but training you to be able to work through that.
In construction, there are long days. What's a key for you, or has been throughout your career, to keep a good work-life balance?
The first things that I would say, if I had to go back and do over again, would really understand who you are as a person and how you need to take care of yourself. This, like I was saying earlier, this industry and the demands of it will always have something to do. But if you're not at your full game and not running on 8 cylinders, you're not going to be able to perform the way that you like. You got to keep asking yourself, am I enjoying myself? If it gets to a point where it's not enjoyable, then you got to ask, okay, why isn't it enjoyable? Is it the environment? Is it the actual work that I'm doing? Am I not growing? Am I not challenged? And be honest with yourself, and then be honest with who you're working with to say, hey, I'm getting a little burnt out here. Is there something different we can look at? There are going to be times when you've got a 10, 12-hour day ahead of you based on a concrete pour or a proposal that's due or a submittal that's got to be reviewed or a report. Just communicate, be honest with yourself, and you'll get through it.
So with your long career with DPR, I'm sure you've been on numerous different jobs. What is one mistake on a project that you have made, and maybe not made once, but made twice? And how did you kind of overcome that mistake?
Only one? All right, that'll be easy.
Yeah.
The first thing was early on in my career, just making an assumption, right? Assuming that this was going to be taken care of, or assuming that I had communicated what the situation was. I had to work through a drawing review, and there had to be a specific deliverable to the owner. I was thinking that it was taken care of. The subcontractor was going to do it. Everything was going to be dialed, and turned out the week before it was supposed to be due, the subcontractor didn't know it needed to be done, etc. So I had to myself lean in and actually do the drawings myself because they had to be done. You should be able to be in an environment to where asking questions is not frowned upon. Let me just recap what I'm hearing or what I'm saying, asking the person to recap it back to me, just to make sure we are clear on our expectations.
Right.
The part that you would hopefully be able to take out of the equation is, I didn't know.
So note to self, do not assume anything and make sure to ask questions.
Right. And do it respectfully and do it in a manner to where, with some humility, but just kind of go, hey, I just want to make sure we're on the same page, want to make sure we know what we're going to be doing here. Can you please explain that to me, etc.
What's one piece of advice that you wish someone told you while you were still in school about the industry?
Lean into the things you don't know. Take that extra time to ask and lean in and spend more time talking to the craft. The craft workers that are out there really love to share what they're doing. They have a lot of pride in what they're doing, and spend time talking to them. They want to make sure that you know what the level of effort's needed on what they're doing. That way you can provide them the information, and it'll be a very symbiotic relationship if you get good connections with the field.
What's a valuable skill that you've learned outside of the classroom or kind of outside of your immediate work?
Whatever the building you are working on or the project, understanding the purpose of it. So if it's everything from a roadway to a hospital, is why are we working on this job today? What's the purpose? What's the meaning of what we're doing? There was one room that we would go up to, and we called it our Alpha Omega room. It was our first room that we did all of our test fits and everything for. I went walking up there after the hospital had opened, and I saw and it was a children's hospital, so there was a child in the room.
Right.
And I wasn't prepared for the emotional impact that had on me. I knew we were building a hospital to give care, but when you see it, it was like, that's what the 12-hour days were about, and that's what the strain and stress. And so that's the one of the key things just on this industry and why we love it so much.
Right. And so that was your UCSF medical job, yeah?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So that won ENR's healthcare building of the year. How did that feel being able to you kind of went over it just then, but how did that feel being able to have a big impact on a job as big as that with a large scope, and then it overall ends up benefiting a lot of people in your immediate community?
Yeah, so that's one that's definitely special to my heart. And a couple things that were going on with that project. A lot of stress and unknowns when we first started the job. But the environment that we created on that project of collaboration, communication was huge. We also developed a lot of industry processes with we had at our peak, it was a 50,000 square foot big room. We had over 250 people that were collaborating in that room. There was a ton of interactive processes that we had to develop on how to break it down in these special work groups and teams, and what the parameters were for them, what they could do or couldn't do. The connectivity of issue resolution, we created different groups on that. So there was all of that besides the building that we worked on and created.
I want to ask about your LEED certification and how you're an accredited professional. How did that come about in your career? Did it come early or late? And how does that affected how you kind of manage people and been on projects since getting that?
We have a tremendous impact on the environment, and I think all of us really want to make sure that we are educated and minimize that impact. And getting that certification shows that it is a priority for you, and also it does help to understand as those are baked into the specifications and the plan for the jobs, that you can understand what it is, because as we learned as the industry, you can't think about it at the end, because that's when all the certifications have to go in. You got to think about it from day one, because otherwise you got to recreate everything, and sometimes you might miss some of the points that you should get. But regardless, it's the end result of minimizing our impact on the environment. There's also two other items, which is net zero and then well certification. And so it's basically where you get your LEED certification on, whether you're silver, platinum, gold, that component. Your net zero is that it's, that building isn't going to produce anything back into the environment. It's gonna take in what it puts out. And then the other component is on the well certification, is that the building itself will be a healthy environment for people to work in. So those are also as important. In the last several years, a lot of owners and companies that say, yeah, that's actually my end goal. LEED is a stepping stone to get there, but the end goal is to hit those. And I'll just say, as DPR, we've got that as a priority. We've got 4 net zero buildings and 2 that are well certified right now, and it's awesome. It just helps, again, that education and understanding. Yes, this is something we understand. It's a priority because our buildings are that way too. So.
Ray, I wanted to thank you for your time today, just giving us some insight on the construction industry and allowing our students to learn a little bit from someone like you who's very accomplished and has been working in the industry for a long time.
No, I appreciate it. It's been great spending the hour here, just reliving some of the old stories, and hopefully what I've shared, it resonates a little bit. I think if I would have had the opportunity to have gotten someone from the industry to share what they had before I graduated, it would have helped, and hopefully this will help some of the students.